Right, okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, you lovely people. Welcome to video number 2. I hope you guys are having a wonderful time. Hope you're feeling good. I hope you had an amazing day or you're about to have an amazing day. And I kind of just want to get straight into it if I'm honest with you. Basically, I want to talk about how we see our goals and how we should see our goals or how we could see our goals. Maybe I don't want to use the word should. It's a little bit too aggressive and sounds like being told off by a parent. How we should see our goals, or how we could see our goals to help us progress. Because we've all been there, right? You want to be like the top 1%. You want to be the best ever, and da 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 da. You want to blow everyone out the water, and that can happen. That's very viable to happen, right? It's not like you're an idiot. Let's be honest. You're probably a very capable person, but long term, the shit kind of burns you out, and you get stuck in a whole small fish, big pond issue where you might, climb to the top of summit in somewhere. Let's say, you're the best football player in your team, or, you're the best at maths in your classroom and all that stuff. And you're like, yes, yes. And then it's now stuck into your identity that you are the best at X subject. But you've only tested yourself within the small pond. And then you go into the big bad world. And then suddenly, there's a lot of other good people that are good at math. And there's a lot of other good people that are good at football. You know what I'm saying? And you start questioning yourself like, oh, whoa, has my whole life been a lie? I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever sense of worth that you derive from your success in those circumstances prior, they don't translate now. And it can cause you to feel demotivated or struggling, that sort of stuff. Another reason why we should actually have this conversation is not everyone is built the same. The same rules won't apply. The same sort of frames or mindsets won't apply. If I told somebody who's grew up in a military family, right, wake up every day, make your bed, write a to-do list and all that stuff, they would probably align very close to that, and that would be what their sense of discipline is. But then if I spoke to somebody who grew up in a family where all of the parents or the guardians in the household were artists or freelance workers, discipline might look different. Discipline might look like taking care of how you feel first, so you're in the right mindset to work, or you're in the right frame to work, because the output is different. I can't go to a sprinter and a marathon runner and tell them to train the same, because one, they have different goals, and two, they come from different trainings prior. Yeah, it's something I learned from being a personal trainer, I suppose. It does get a lot more in depth than that, but I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit. So, what does work? What would work? The first thing you need to put in context is something called chunking, where if you've got a big goal, chunk it up. Split that goal down into smaller components that one, you can achieve in realistic timeframes, and two, they're not overwhelming. Now there is a limit to this, and you'll know when you're bullshitting yourself. There is a point, if you chunk it down too small, you won't actually go anywhere. You'll just be spinning your wheels. And really and truly, you'll know inside if you're doing that. You'll know if you're bullshitting yourself. I get that it's tough, but do you know what I'm saying? That's why we're pushing goals, because we're trying to grow and expand who we are as people on our own horizons. Which brings us to our second step, is that if you have something that you want to achieve, or you want to complete, or you're doing something new, you have to go into it with the mindset that you're gonna suck at it at some point, or it's gonna be hard at some point, or you're not gonna get it at some point. But that's not a bad thing, right? It wouldn't be a goal otherwise. I kind of hope that sort of this mentality is a bit more sobering, and it makes reality work with us rather than work against us. Because obviously there's how you perceive things and the actual story that's being played out. And a lot of the unhappiness and the lack of drive and lack of focus and that sort of stuff usually stems from being caught in the middle of all of these perspectives. So really and truly, you gotta realize your own goals and make them realistic and attainable. You can have multiple, it's totally fine. I'm not here to tell you, oh, you should only do one thing. That's not the right way at all. In fact, there's a video coming up soon about polymaths, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, I'm not talking like, oh, you should have to do this one thing. Not saying you can't do it, though. Like earlier, everybody has their own way of doing stuff. The person who, that guy at school who's then gone to finance and that's all he's done, that sort of stuff, and he's really done well with it, that works for him, right? It might not work for you. What you're doing might not work for him. Like, do you get it? Nothing is linear. It's the same for when we're talking about having to sort of take it with a pinch of salt that at some point the road will be a little bit rocky because progress is never linear. Never, 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 never. Theoretically, on paper, like, yeah, you can. It's very easy to draw just a straight line between the X and Y axes. Beautiful. However, in reality, it's not linear at all. It never will be. Don't panic in these times. It's good. It's good for these things to happen. Sometimes there's things that you can't take account for in your tiny little mind sometimes. You don't know that you're aware of it. Sometimes your body needs to rest and you don't know it's aware because they're very acute minor details. Or there's things that sometimes we either can't even perceive or we sort of push it to the wayside because it doesn't seem important. So yeah, chunk up any big goals into slightly smaller goals that you can attain that are like realistic. They're smart in that way. They have got, there's a time restraint on it potentially. Not always needed depending on the goal, but a time restraint does help keep you accountable. They're realistic, they're achievable, they're specific as well. Chunk up your goal into these pieces that you can work on and bash them out. I had a client who is 187 kilo. In context, obviously I'm British. That'll be about 400 pounds, just over 400 pounds for Americans. And it'd be very useless, right? And I said it to him, it's very useless for us to say, okay, let's lose 30 kilograms by Christmas, right? It's a lot more useful, in my opinion, to say, okay, the next 2 months, let's lose 5 kg. And then the next 2 months, let's lose another 5 kg. And then in the next 2 months, let's lose another 5 kg. Because that way you get to tick things off and you're still going down the path you want to take. We're just sorting out the goals we want to do in life. We're also sorting out our own minds, right? The mentality on how we do these things is paramount. Consistency beats talent every single time. Because talent is only in context to the situation that you're in. I'm a very talented basketball player when I play basketball against 2-year-olds. I'm an awful player if I was to just join the Lakers tomorrow. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen that way. But regardless of who I was competing against, if I turned up to practice every single day, I would get better. I know for a fact you guys have got this. Please give me a like, comment, share. Tell me what I can do better. Tell me what I can do worse. There'll be upgrades with the channel over time. And I hope you achieve what you need to achieve. That's all from me today, guys. Peace out. Have a good one. Love.